On today's show, we're sitting down with Realtor Aftaab Dhillon to get us insight on current market trends, how we got started with investing, and why Windsor is on fire, and I don't mean burning down. Enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Taco from Taco Investing, and we're going to be talking about today with a realtor out of Windsor. And I think it's important to have a strong team with you. Just like I've always mentioned, having a strong real estate investing contractor, someone who's real estate investing focused for you. You also need to work with the right team around you to help buy and purchase these properties for your investment deals. So you don't want to be using your Toronto real estate agent to be purchasing property in Windsor, because the guy in Windsor is going to have more of an understanding of the city, the market, the areas, even what the rents are, whether you're overpaying or underpaying, and you'll have a much better vision on what a great deal is and what a good deal is. And it'll help you stay focused and, help you reach your goals. So I met this guy in the Army, and he's doing a lot of big things. So after that, maybe you can just quickly just talk about, who you are and where you kind of got your start, and we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So we met in the Army. I lived in Brampton, Ontario. And then from there, did the Army, went to university, went to Waterloo. And real estate, I was brought in by my business partner. He's a friend of mine as well. And he thought I would be really good in real estate. He sort of forced me into it at the start to learn. And I thank him for that every day, because it changed my life.
He forced you into it?
It was something I thought about, but never really did. And he was like, you can do it. He sort of told me the benefits. And
he saw the sport. He saw that you could kill it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he said. He's like, you're going to kill it. He's like, start working on it. He's like, make some moves. And I was okay.
And he's been mentoring you along?
Yeah. He honestly, without him, I would have had a way slower start. Because if you look back to like a year and a half, 2 years ago, starting off, a lot of agents don't grow as fast as I did. So he sort of gave me that head start where I learned a lot from him in a very short period of time. And that head start pushed me forward to where I am today.
Well, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And now we're sitting in our office in Windsor, and we had a grand opening last week.
I know I missed it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I had some flights booked and everything.
Yeah.
But, had a family obligations. So
it's okay. We're going to have to open a new office for you to attend the next grand opening.
Yeah, let me know. We'll be there.
Yeah, 100%. But
okay, so you became an agent in Windsor. And so obviously you guys had this big grand opening at this new office. So what brought you to Windsor? Tell us a little bit about the Windsor market. Why are people investing in Windsor, and what are you guys doing out here?
Yeah. So Windsor, we were first attracted because, prices are way lower than the GTA. So obviously we have to look into it. But when
you say lower, can we give what does a single family home in Brampton go for versus what a single family home in Windsor?
Yeah.
Kind of relative size.
Yeah. So if you look at, let's say, a $1.4 million house in Brampton, nothing special, very, very cookie cutter house. Down here, for $1 million, you can get a way larger house, probably some sort of custom design, huge lot size, way better living, more open. And it just made a lot more sense. And then when you look at the investing side, when you look at sort of near the university, you're looking at single family houses under 500,000 and under 500,000.
And this is today in 2022.
This is today in 2022.
Okay.
Which it's hard to say no to that. So when you look at, let's say, Waterloo, and you're looking at investment properties and you're looking at the $1 million price range, we're getting the same rent, but for a way lower cost, half the price. So it's something you have to look into at the start.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's a good place to definitely start into real estate investing for sure. Cause Austin, Toronto would obviously require way more capital.
Yeah.
So what are you investing in? Are you buying property out here? Obviously, I'm sure you're buying some property. What sort of properties are you into?
So started with single family, easiest, lowest cost, lowest capital needed to get in. But now we've branched out to multifamily. Multifamily is a whole different game, but once you get into multifamily, you grow so much faster. The single family, let's say you're a young guy, you're a first time buyer, you're getting into investing. Single family investment property is a great stepping stone. Lets you get into the market, low capital, but teaches you the little things that you need to know. And then you can sort of use it as a stepping stone and keep going from there. But multifamily, once you get into that space, that's when you can really expand and start making some really big moves.
And then in this single family, so we like to talk about investing for especially like the younger guys or the newer generation. So what type of renos are you putting into these new single families? Are you converting them into duplexes or trying to convert them into conversions, or can you just buy place, little effort into it? Like what sort of things are you doing into a typical place that you've done recently?
Yeah, exactly. So when you, like a good example is like the first single family I bought it for $420, had 5 bedrooms, and it was a basement unit, very trashed, like unusable. But that was a good start for me because easy to rent out. All I did was I went in, the washer and dryer didn't work, just switched those out, painted the entire house, made 1 more bedroom. It was actually a 4-bedroom when I bought it, added a 5th bedroom to get more rent out of it, and then finish off the basement. Very, very, very minimal work. With most of these single families, usually my younger clients who are getting into their first family house, a single family house investment property, I try to find properties that only need what we like to call lipstick touches. Yeah. So it's just on top touches, paint, maybe some flooring, change the lighting, just make the property look a little nicer, because that drives the rent up. Because getting deeper than that is where it starts to get really expensive. And if it's not needed, you might start losing out on it.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, so we talk about Windsor. There's a lot of universities and stuff around Windsor. Yeah. So is student rentals a big thing? Would you recommend that for a newer investor, or like what sort of hurdles do you normally deal with in those types of investments?
Yeah. For a new investor, student rental is the easiest to learn on because turnover is so high. If you don't have a good group of students, you're guaranteed you can switch them out, get a new group of students in next year or even semester, however you do the leases. But it's a great way to learn. Rent is always there. Students are always there. University's not shutting down. The college isn't shutting down. Even during the pandemic, the biggest question I had was, now students don't need to go onto campus. Are you still having renters? Because are they even going to travel out this far and live near campus? There's so many international students. So they come from out of the country. They still need to stay in country for reasons to get their PR here. Yeah. So the rental market, especially in a city like Windsor, is always strong. So with students, and if you're just getting into investing, it's a safe bet because you know you're going to get the rent. And if you have low capital to begin with, affording the house, maintaining the house, you have to take into account how well the rental market is. Because if you buy a family house for rent and you can't get a family in there for a few weeks, you might run into some trouble because you're going to be paying a lot of, your burn rate's going to be a lot higher. But with these student rentals, it's easy. Even if for some reason it's mid-semester, you don't have prime rent students ready to go, you can throw in some students, they'll pay lower, but at least your burn rate is cut down.
You can fill it quickly.
Yeah, you can fill it very quickly.
That's very interesting. I don't do too many student rentals. I don't think I've ever done a student rental, so it's pretty interesting to hear these things. But you were touring us around Windsor today. Yeah. And I definitely thought it was a different city than what you showed me. So it's incredible to see what's happening here. It's really interesting. I'm definitely going to come back to visit you for, a tour or maybe an investment or two. Yeah. So multifamily. So multifamily, what sort of things are different in multifamily do you find versus single family, especially when it comes to the rental portion of it and then as well as the financing?
So rentals on multifamily, they have to be very strategic. So this is where it comes back from the single family. Single family, if you mess up, as long as the market appreciation is still going on, you can still make your money. Whereas multifamily, it's usually a bit more costly because you're paying for multiple units. You're not just doing one. Yeah. So if you overspend on one, it's okay. You learned your lesson. But if you have, let's say, a 17 unit, 18 unit building and you overspend on every unit, you're going to be in a heavy deficit if you mess up. So that's when you have to take into account what kind of money are you going to be pulling out. So if it's, let's say, a BRRRR project where you want to refinance and pull your equity out, if you overspend on the renos and your refinance isn't going to cover all that equity, all that capital you put into it, then you're going to run into some trouble. So it has to be well thought out, well planned, and you have to go in strategically.
Oh, that's amazing. I find it's easy to overspend, especially on multifamily projects, and not having a good investor focused kind of contractor or even like real estate agent to kind of help guide you with what the market is. Like, I don't think people really understand that how different a renovation, like a simple renovation in Toronto is so much more different than a paint job down here.
Yeah.
Because there's this different level of expectation because you're in Toronto or in Brampton, whereas down here, you're getting a lot more students, and the high end is not the same level of high end.
Yeah.
I assume you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Because that happens with a lot of investors when they first come here and they look at these houses or multifamilies, and they're expecting GTA level houses.
Yep.
And they see the quality of the houses here. But what you have to keep in mind is these are investments. It's not something it's not your dream house. You're not going in there and living there personally. It's an investment. You have to see what makes sense. Are the finishes durable? For your personal house, you might want the best, custom, nicest hardwood flooring.
Yeah.
Do you want that in your investment property where the students are going to be dragging furniture in and out, having a party, let's say whatever? You want some more durable, maybe vinyl flooring or something like that. Might not be GTA style home quality, but investment side, it's what makes sense. It's more durable, lasts longer. And you have to see what kind of value you can pull from every single piece of material you use in your renovation.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about, kind of your start. Like, how did you start in investing? I know you mentioned your mentor, I guess, got you into becoming a real estate agent, but what put you over the top to start investing in real estate, or what really kind of changed your mind for that moment?
Well, I was in school, and during school, it took me 7 years to graduate because what I used to do was throw parties to make money.
Okay.
And so I was already good at promoting, doing all of that. And as well as I was in the army, we were in the unit, and it was a lot of hard work. And I thought about what I want to do next. And everyone's going into these 9-to-5s. They're locked down. They don't have a lot of free time. And the capital you build up that way it's not that much. So it's hard to expand into any sort of investing, whether real estate or outside. What I realized getting into real estate was everything's dictated on your own terms. No one's going to call me and tell me I have to wake up, show up to work.
Yeah.
If I don't want to go to work for 4 weeks, no one's going to call me.
So you just enjoy that flexibility.
Yeah, it's that flexibility. But when you're working for yourself and you have that flexibility, you're that much more motivated. So it's the funny thing. I tell people all the time, like, you probably heard this from other investors and other businessmen or entrepreneurs, where they say, I don't want to work that 9-to-5, but then we end up working 12 hours, 14-hour days.
I can attest to that for sure, where, sometimes I feel like the day never ends. But, it's what we do. It's it's the hustle, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the payoff is also much greater, right?
For sure. Eventually it does pay off.
Yeah, eventually. It's slow. Can't expect it all at once.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hard work isn't easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing a bunch of side hustles and you got into real estate, but what made you want to invest into real estate? Where did you first start investing?
Yeah.
Like, were you doing stocks? Did you buy properties out here? What age did you hit? I mean, you're a pretty young guy too. You're 25. You're doing a lot of big things. So it's really nice to see younger people being out here and doing, really big things. And it's inspiring to a lot of people. Like, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's not rocket scientists. It's definitely having good mentors, good teams, people working together. So what was it for you? Like, when did you start investing outside of throwing parties when you were younger?
Yeah.
For a great time. But when did you start putting your money to work for you?
Yeah. So it was like about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then I realized how you have to make your money work for you. And I thought I was going to invest in Waterloo because I went to school there. I knew every street on the back of my head. I knew exactly where I could rent, where I couldn't rent. And I knew what the rent values would be. So even without being in real estate, I sort of knew the background because I went there myself. But then I realized the cost down there was much greater than I could even think of affording at the time. Mm-hmm. And whereas my mentor, my buddy, we were friends for years, and he was always talking about Windsor. So when he brought me down here, it made a lot more sense. Rent values were the same, but the cost of getting the capital needed to get started was much lower. So like, if you look at a $500,000 home, to start out 5%, if you can get a mortgage done, it's only $25,000.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're looking at $1 million house, you're not getting that at 5%. And it's a lot of capital.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then did you pool together money with friends, family? How did you come up with that? It's just really trying to open it up to the younger, newer investing crowd, not necessarily younger, because you can invest at any age.
Yeah.
like how you put together that money. Like one of the previous guests, he pulled money with his parents, and he used their equity in their home to help. He convinced his family to get out and trust into what he was saying. And then, they started buying their first property and they turned it into a triplex. So what was it? What was your strategy?
For me, so I had some people that trusted my knowledge because I knew what I was talking about. Of course, I didn't have the capital to just start going out and buying everything myself, even though I knew it would make money. Still needed the capital. So I had some people that trusted me enough to listen to what I was saying and gave me a trial shop. When it came back to buying my first house, I did put together some capital. And then, of course, mortgage issues, which go wrong. I had a partner. So we went 50-50. He put up 50% of the capital. I did the legwork, found the deal, set everything up. But that's how I started. And then from there, now it just comes down to building capital, reinvesting the money I made off already done deals and properties. And just recycling that money and just going back.
That's amazing. What about you mentioned you were in the military. Obviously we were in the military together. Did you find any of that helpful at all?
I think dealing with high pressure, like stress situations. So in the Army, we're always put under those tight squeezes where you have no time, but you got to think fast. You got to act. I think that in investment paid off well because sometimes these deals come around and you only have like an hour to think about it because you'll get a call. They'll be like, this is the property. This is the deal. Do you want it? Yes, no. Do you know someone who wants it? Yes, no. You have to, with a cool level-headed head, you have to think about it. You have to run the numbers. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, you have to trust in yourself enough to sort of pull the trigger and go for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think definitely dealing with that high level stress has definitely allowed me to do a lot more things. And even believing in myself and knowing like, when you're on that march and you're walking and you're like, I don't know if I can take one more step. And then you have a good team around you, your buddies, and they're like, oh man, like you can't quit on us, let's keep going. And then, 2 hours later, you're like, I don't know, man, I don't know if I can do this last step. And then you just keep going. And then like another 2 hours goes by. And it's incredible to see how far you can push yourself with the right support around you, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. And that goes with investing too. Because if you're an investor just for yourself, it doesn't work the best because you're being selfish. But like for me, I think about my family. I have 2 younger sisters. I have my parents. So every time I'm making an investment decision, I'm also thinking of them. So that's why it works better because I know I have a support system. So when something goes right for everyone. Just same thing in the Army. If you do something right, everyone did something right.
Yeah, and the team. Yeah, the team effort. No, for sure. Yeah, I think it's important, especially like trying to, like myself as well. Like I think of my family, my kids, my brothers and stuff like that. I'm trying to make generational wealth versus just today's wealth, right? Like, it's a much different world, I think. And especially with inflation and interest rates going up, I think it's going to be harder for the newer generation to afford things. But 100%. I think there's definitely going to be some great opportunities coming up because it is going to be more difficult for other investors to purchase. But I think there's going to be some really interesting times ahead.
Yeah.
Especially from an investor perspective. What are your thoughts on the interest rates and everything, kind of like where we are going with inflation and everything?
So that's actually like a super interesting topic. Everyone I talk to is talking about it. And they always say, it's either someone who's a new investor. They're like, oh, I don't want to touch the market right now. I don't know what's going on. I just want to see where the market leads to. And then, but the really smart investors that I talk to, they're actually having the time of their lives right now. Because what they see is they see high interest rates, but a huge discount on the property itself. So what people aren't considering is if you go back, let's say 4 months ago, you're overpaying for these properties. Let's say you went 200, 300K over, paying a low interest rate, but you're also overpaying for the house. Now you're paying a huge discount on the property itself. Even with the high interest rate, your mortgage is very comparable to when you were overpaying for a property. So when you're an investor and all you're looking at is cash flow and your analysis is based on numbers, you can still run those numbers. Now your cost of acquisition is just a lot lower and your burn rate is just a little higher. But you have to take into account if you buy a property, let's say a single family Windsor house in the university area, 2 months ago they were about in the $600,000 range. Now you can pick them up in the 400s, even lower in the 3s. So
we're still talking about 2022, right?
We're talking about 2022.
Honestly, when we were driving around, you kind of like blew my mind.
Yeah.
With the prices, not knowing much about Windsor, so it's very educational.
So when you're buying those low cost homes now at a huge discount, eventually interest rates will drop. Yeah, it might not happen for a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But it's going to drop at a certain point. You're going to have so much equity built into the house. That's when you cash out. And that's what these smarter long-term investors are thinking about. And the funny thing is, even realtors haven't adapted. So everyone thinks every realtor knows everything. It's not true. Even in Windsor, there's a lot of realtors who are expecting, I try to work a deal with them on a house. Yep. They're like, no, 2 months ago, I would have sold for 500, 550, 600. That's what I want today. It's not how the business works. The clients aren't there for that anymore. So those houses are going to stay on the market. Inventory's growing, and the smart investors are just going in and picking off the really good deals that they're finding.
Oh, it's amazing. So you talk about investing, and like, where are you finding your investors? Like, do you find like a lot of out-of-towners are investing in Windsor? You finding some local people investing within Windsor as well? Like, what's the dynamic?
There's a lot of local investors. It's sort of the smarter investors who have thought this through. They've been here for so long. They've seen the trends. Especially now, they see it's a good time for them to get in. 90% of my investors, though, come from out of town, the GTA mostly, because they know the market down there and they're trying to branch out, trying to get into these lower capital, like lower cost markets like Windsor. So they reach out and they see sort of my social media. They see what I'm doing out here.
No, for sure.
They reach out.
Honestly, how I connected again with you, because for sure, we were in the army together. I'm no longer in the army. You kind of moved out here, and we haven't really connected. And being social on my Instagrams and stuff and my TikToks. And then I started watching your story, and it's been an incredible story to watch and see what you were doing, which is why I reached out to you, because I think there's some interesting stuff that you are doing out here with your team and your partners. So really cool. Congrats to you.
Thank you.
So that. With that, like, what would you tell, private Aftaab about about investing or getting started if you could go back?
Oh man, if I could go back, I would start sooner. So here's the one thing. Like, when I was buying my first house, I took so long. Even though I knew the whole game plan, I kept thinking, I kept doubting. I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? Which one should I get? It was never perfect. It's always harder to buy for yourself. When I run the game plan for other investors, like, these are the numbers, it makes sense. Like, it's good to go. So if I went back to private Aftaab, private Dhillon when I first started, I'd be like, listen, don't spend any of your paycheck on any parties. Don't go out. Don't do this. Save up your cash. Go out and buy a house right away. If I started 4 or 5 years ago, oh my God, I would have been way beyond where I am now.
Do you think having your mentor, would you have listened to your mentor sooner? I guess when he was kind of saying this is it. You're this guy. Come.
Yeah. That's a tough thing. That's the other thing. You're gonna realize it when you realize it, right?
Yeah.
So when I was younger, and like I was telling you, I used to throw those parties in Waterloo and everything. You could not drag me out of that. I thought I was on top of the world throwing parties. Everyone was talking to me. They were like, "Oh my God, we're going to your house. We're doing this." I was like, "I'm good where I am. I don't need to worry about anything else." Investing was the last thing on my mind. But now when I look back, I was like, "Oh shit, I should have maybe invested in maybe that money I made from those parties. If I threw into some houses, I could have thrown better parties."
Yeah. How much would a property been 10 years ago here?
Oh my God. I don't even want to think about it. Like 40,000. Oh,
yeah, that's crazy. That's intense.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, do you work with contractors when you do these projects yourselves? Yeah. Like, what kind of contractors do you work with? Are you working with just regular contractors, investor focused contractors? And if so, like, what kind of hurdles or pain points do you have with contractors just in general? Mm-hmm. And how has a more investor focused contractor kind of helped in some of those?
Yeah. So I feel like anytime you're getting into investment properties, you have to have investor focused contractors, because a general contractor, you can't scale up. Because maybe if you're starting out, you have one house and you get a general contractor, he'll be able to manage that. But if you scale up into multifamily, you can't handle the load of multiple units. If you go 4 units, 8 units, 10 units, he's not going to be able to scale up to that. Whereas the investor focused contractors, they know exactly when they need more help. they have the teams in place to hire their own manpower. So depending on the job, they can bring more people in, but it's always a pain. So like now I'm pretty set with if I need an electrician, I have my go-to guys.
Yep.
If I need a plumber, I have my go-to people. But every once in a while, situations change. Electrician might be gone, might need to find a new one. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes people, they overpromise than underdeliver. I'd rather have someone who overdelivers and underpromises all day long. But that comes with experience and time. You're never going to know if the guy you hire, you're not going to know 100% if he's going to do a good job, no matter what he says, what proof he shows you, what prior work he shows you, because you never know what situations change for them. So it's always a little bit of a risk. But once you get a good contractor, an investor contractor, once you get him on lock, you see he does a good job, don't let him go.
Don't let him go.
Add him to your team, add him to your roster, keep him by.
Do you find your contractors help? Like I find when we deal with investor-focused contractors, they're actually out there to help your project succeed, where I find sometimes the general contractors are out there just trying to make the most money on the project.
Yeah. So general contractors, they already know. They're used to having a client come to them for one project and that's it. So they want to milk that one project for as much as they can. Even if you let them know, listen, I'm an investor, I'm going to keep coming back to you. They're not wired to not milk you for every single last penny. Investor contractors, they know the game plan. They know whether it's a quick flip or a gut job. They know what they're going to be with you for the long haul. And even with my investor contractors, each investor does things differently. So something like my team does is like whenever we do a bathroom, everyone knows our bathrooms because we throw up Costco light up mirrors. Because all our tenants, all the people we have that rent from us, they love that. They go into the bathroom, they turn lights on, mirror lights up, and they're like, oh, this is an amazing bathroom. So like my contractors already know when I get them to go into the bathroom, they're like, light up mirror? Like they don't even have to ask.
It's a signature?
Yeah, they know. So it's like little differences. Every investor, they do things differently, but once they learn your pattern, it's just rinse and repeat with these investments.
Yeah, no, I find for sure, because I was obviously involved heavily in investing focused contracting. For me, I would look at clients like you as Netflix subscriptions. Mm-hmm. Like I'll just do a good job on the first show. Yeah. And then, you're going to be like, hey, I got another unit on vacant. I got another unit vacant. And as long as we follow your recipe and know your recipe, it allows us to expand everything and then keep your formula in our system. Yeah. Like you're saying, like that signature. I have my clients that I have their signature paint, their signature floor, their signature trim. You're just like, hey, here's the address. Let me know when it's done. And then that's kind of how we worked it. And it was definitely, it's super nice, easy, clean. And I don't know why more contractors don't jump on the system, because there's obviously lots of units being turned over on a regular basis. Exactly.
It comes down to the contractors with the long-term goal, right? Because they know like the contractors I use per project, they're charging me less than any general contractor would, but they know in the long term, it's a numbers game. They're getting a huge quantity. Myself, my team, our clients, everyone's going to use them. So if they try to overcharge me on one project, they're not getting the next one. So they know, give me a good deal on every single project and they'll get them all.
Speaking of contractors and different things, we're going to pop up some videos on our show here, and we're going to see, our producer always has a bunch of random stuff. Sometimes contractor fails and a bunch of good real estate agents fails. And let me turn my phone.
Anyway, this guy got an online lead and he was working it, and he showed a few properties and closing him in just about a week. It was a condo townhouse, and they went for this specific guy, put together the offer, and he went to his team leader. He's like, are you sure this isn't overpriced? It seems a little bit overpriced. The guy's like, no, do you want to make money? Just put it on paper and that's it.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know how you guys deal with that. Like,
this is what I was taught previously.
So this girl's talking about a deal that she felt like it was overpriced. Yeah. Somebody accepted the offer. They made the deal.
2 weeks later, it's a phone call from his
and then I'm sure she's going to talk about the outfall of this. The value. Yeah. I'm going to pause it right there. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like value, like overpricing and value. Like I find again, kind of like when I was talking about the introduction, how important it is to have a good person on your team to kind of help gauge actual values of homes. Because this is probably happening a lot more so maybe before they started raising interest rates, but like people just doing wild bids.
Yeah.
The bank's going to give them a, $700,000 mortgage. And then when they go and the appraisal comes in, the numbers are there.
Yeah.
So now, the client's stuck, which is what TikTok's about. The client's going to be stuck with trying to come up with an extra $200K in capital.
Yeah, exactly. It goes both ways too, right? So when you look on the buying side, you can't overpay, but you also can't expect to underpay, right? So like right now, people are saying interest rates are high. Let's go super lowball them. Like lowballing is A-okay. I do that all the time. Go under, see if you can get a deal, but there's a point. Like if it just doesn't make sense, don't insult them. And then as well as if you go over, it's your job to coach your clients, right? If my client really wants a house, he wants to buy it, but listen, I have to give him the talk. Like, I know you really like this house. You want this house, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do not go in at this price. Also on the other side, if let's say this agent for his buyer isn't the best, he's going to go 300K over asking. I'm the seller's agent. I get this offer and I have, let's say 2 offers here, 3 offers here, all reasonable, maybe even above asking, but I know the bank will appraise, funding's okay. Then I have this offer that's way out of the park, way over here. Like, my client's going to be like, I want that 300K over. I want that 500K over. But I have to give them the talk. Like, listen, the bank's not going to appraise that. I know you think your property's worth that, but it's not. The bank's not going to appraise them. So 2 months from now, when closing time comes, 3 months from now, when the bank doesn't appraise them and they can't close, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you find that a difficult conversation, I guess, because they're selling the house. Clients get excited at times, right? Like I know for sure it's an exciting moment buying or selling.
I think it depends on what kind of agent you are, right? You have to manage expectations from the beginning. So like I deal with investors. Yes. Like I'm investor focused. So my clients are all numbers based. So from the beginning, we talk numbers. What makes sense? What doesn't? Mm-hmm. And I give them a serious talk. Like, listen, if they're trying to purchase a property and it's way over asking, I just let them know, like, numbers don't make sense. Done. Move on to the next. We don't even have to worry because they know numbers don't make sense. Going way under asking, I'm like, listen, if we're going to sell this property for you, would you go this under? Numbers look really good at this point too, but you have to manage expectations. You have to work with your client, but you have to start from the beginning. You can't, like I said before, don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah,
right. So you just have to start early.
Okay, let's go to this next video here.
So when it comes to bathroom renos.
Okay, so it's a bathroom renovation. $15K for this bathroom reno. It's a tub.
Oh man, a wrong contractor. That's something it should have been seen way earlier.
Do you see a lot of I guess contractor fails, or I don't know. Do we put this on the contract or do we put this on the client? Sometimes clients are very
I think this goes both ways. Right? Yeah, sometimes clients pick pretty shitty contractors from the go and they charge next to nothing. Yeah. But like this one, they said they paid $15K. So that's a pretty hefty amount.
For sure.
Windsor, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it. Like you probably seen those TikToks, the landlord special. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen every kind of landlord special in Windsor.
We should have got one of those TikToks.
Yeah.
Those are good. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, but this is basically landlord special right here. Oh my God. Okay, let's go to the third one here. Okay, so it's a nice kitchen, fridge, still stainless steel appliances. Looks like it's quartz countertops. So the cabinets are right up against the stove.
Yeah, can't open.
There's no cupboards above the stove or the fridge.
Oh yeah.
And the pantries are blocked in on both sides.
Oh, this is just poor planning.
Just happens often, right? Like these photos will show up.
Yeah.
On
because if
your Instagram,
if you see that on a listing, you're like, oh, this looks nice and renovated and amazing.
Yeah, you can't even tell that the cabinets were butted up against the appliances until she zoomed in. So those are funny. Like that, I guess I can't imagine that doesn't happen often. But it's one of those perfect real estate investor
landlord special.
Yeah, landlord special. Okay, let's see what else we got here.
Thank you so much for this.
This is when you have. So we have a bathroom rough in, and then it just. I don't even know why they have giant loops to the left. I'm going to assume they're planning on putting a water fixture on this side, probably down the road.
Yeah, where the contractor was charging by the T.
That's another good contractor charging by the foot one.
No, I think you're right. I think they're probably planning on putting something there.
Yeah, it seems like a vanity or maybe like a kitchen on the other side is what I would assume.
Early on.
So this is one of my first flips ever. Okay, it's a beautiful house.
Bought for
From a wholesaler. $395.
It's not a bad price at all. 500K fixed up.
Does it say? Oh,
it said they thought it was worth 500 once fixed up.
Once fixed up. It doesn't say where it's from.
Old carpet.
Okay. Stated house. Probably like 70. So it looks like this house looks good. We put it up to sale. Nothing.
Swamp house.
People hold the small back here. They lower the price every week. Every 3 weeks. Oh, man. Oh, they sold for 38.
How much did they lose? They lost 35K. Also, for just doing flooring lighting, it's an expensive reno.
Yeah, for sure. But do you find like when you're looking at these kind of purchasing from wholesalers and just trying to do these quick little flips, I find they're a lot more difficult to do today in today's market versus 5 years ago. Were like absolutely
exactly. And that's the thing, right? You never know what you're getting into, especially with wholesalers. They hunt for these deals. They lock down such low prices without asking questions because their goal is to just wholesale it. So whenever I get a deal from a wholesaler, I have to analyze it. I look into the property. I go back and is there any work orders on the property? What's going on? Because I know he just made the deal happen in an hour and got it under contract, and now he's selling that contract to me.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure like what you're buying is what's being projected, right? But sometimes it's a risk, and you have to see what your risk tolerance is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, those can be interesting. Let's see what's in the next one here. Sorry, fourth, fifth one now. So we got the last one here.
Today in Adventures and Waivers.
Okay, so they're walking in the front door. She's gonna show. Let's say she's showing a house, a duplex. Let's have a kitchen.
Well.
And no, front entrance. That's a walk-in shop.
Walk-in shop right at the front
entrance. Not even finished.
Yeah.
That's gonna be enough.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that at all.
I've never seen that.
It's pretty interesting when you have investors. I feel like it's these newer investors too, and like some bad agents, kind of both of them working hand in hand. Like they aren't real estate investor focused agents. They're just trying to make their commission.
Yeah.
And then you have the knowing but slightly unknowing new investor, and they're just like, okay, let's just fit an extra bathroom in here. And I don't know who it is. If the agent's like, yeah, sure, we can just put a little lipstick and make it work. Or you have the investor like, no, we need to put this in. I need to get that to try to help bump that value. Yeah. And you find like, oh man, I can't believe how many you can find of these.
Yeah, I saw a listing just yesterday, actually. That reminds me of that is one of the bedrooms. You walked in, it was just a large bathroom and someone had a bed in the corner. So I guess they rented that bathroom out as a bedroom just because it was so large. And I was looking at the listing and I was like staring at it for a while. I was like, who chose to live in there? And then my next question was, I was like, is that a shared bathroom? Or is that just for the person?
Yeah, it's incredible sometimes like what you can find, especially from a renovation perspective. There are no shortages of fails in the reno for sure. In general, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just going to top up our drinks. Yeah. Or we have some ice.
Oh, ice is all melted.
Maybe we don't have ice.
Yeah, I see that with like some of the houses. Like I showed you that 8-bedroom house today.
Yeah.
But when you walk into the house, you say 8 bedrooms, but everything's well laid out. I have 3 separate bathrooms. I have living space. I have basement has a living space. Bedrooms are spread out. Nothing is like overlapping. But then other clients see that, they're like, oh, 8 bedrooms fit in this house. It's going to fit in my house as well. My house is a little larger, but it also depends on the layout.
Yeah, layouts are huge for sure. That's one of the things I do even for our investor clients is like, I can look at like that building you showed me the other day when we were chatting on Instagram, and you were like, hey, Mark, look at this building. Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah. And I was like, okay, all I see is, okay, we can add probably 2 more units. Mm-hmm. These kitchens and bathrooms, like it's perfect for renos. We can convert out the boiler, add some mini split units. Like that's the kind of stuff I can see, because you say contractors say they can't see through walls, but like if you've broken down 100 walls, you can start imagining what's behind those walls. And I find that like, having a really good contractor can help you see through those walls to avoid some of those, mistakes and see those opportunities, and like understanding what a good layout is. Like I'll get some listings from some agents and they'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? It's like listed for a duplex. And I look at it and I'm like, you can't fit a duplex. Like it's not going to work. Because the layout, like the one we went in today, was really nice. You know, you walk in, you have big open space, you have a little kitchenette, and then you had the 2 bedrooms on the main floor, bathroom right off to the side. And then you had the whole extra living space upstairs, which is like, again, right? Good layout. That's definitely important with investing and trying to create multifamily properties. Especially zoning. Like I know we didn't touch on zoning, but I know a lot of agents will say, yeah, you can turn this into a duplex or a triplex. And, you know, my clients will ask me when I do a lot of walkthroughs with my clients before they purchase. Yeah. So I can kind of give them my Cole's notes on the budgets. Can you turn this? Like, this is a good layout. This isn't a good layout. And, you know, one of the first things I do is like, give me the address, and I'll find out the zoning, and I'll look, okay, it's zoned for a triplex, but you're not going to get a triplex because there's no parking, and the city won't allow you to use your front lawn as parking. You can only do it in the back. There's no laneway, and you don't have access in the back. And I can immediately start eliminating deals for our clients to kind of helping them along the way, which is where I think
it happens all the time. Like sometimes I see realtors market single family houses. They're split up like they're duplexes, like an up and down or basement unit. And the listing will say duplex, everything will say duplex. But then you go into the actual property report, it's still a single family house, but they're marketing it like it's a legal duplex. It's not. And that's where you lose value. And then the other thing you see, like you were asking me earlier about ADUs and how Windsor is with that. Funny thing is, if you look at a lot of the duplex listings here, they'll have huge backyards with laneways.
Actually, let's just go back. So ADU, just explain what ADU is.
Additional dwelling unit.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically adding a unit as a separate structure from your existing unit.
It's like putting a mini house, or
like so you can have garden suites or laneway housing or auxiliary dwelling units. Exactly. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of clear that for listeners listening in. Go ahead, sorry.
Exactly, no worries. So like ADUs, you were asking me earlier, how is Windsor with ADUs? And it's super popular now in Windsor. A lot of people are throwing them up. There's companies dedicated to only doing ADUs here, where they come, check it out, and they'll throw it up for you. No issues. I'll see a lot of duplexes and triplexes here with huge lots, huge backyards with the laneways, setbacks, everything. And listing will say ADU, great potential for ADU. And every time I see those listings, I laugh, because when you look at the requirements for Windsor and ADUs, it says if there's a multifamily on the property already, you can't add an ADU.
Oh, see, so like, it's funny because this is where like it's tough, because education is so important. Even just because someone's an agent, or just because someone's a contractor, or just because somebody's, a mortgage broker, doesn't mean they know everything and are the best at everything. So it's important to find like these investor focus, or these niche, I will call them, people that are going to be out there who understand and are looking at all of these rules that are out there to help you, versus somebody like who you're using to purchase your personal home might be a completely different type of realtor or contractor and mortgage broker, because your goals and what you're trying to do are completely different. So it's definitely important out there for the listeners to make sure you have a strong team and a good outlook on who you're using for this stuff. But it's also difficult to find great guys. So like you said earlier with the contractor, if you find a good agent or a good contractor, just hang on to those guys and don't let them go. So with that, what else are you going to be up to? Like where are you currently, where are you going? What's next for after you guys just opened up this space. So I assume you got a lot of space in there.
So we want to bring Windsor to light to more people in the GTA.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people from the GTA already know about Windsor. A lot of investors are coming down this way, but we just want to shine more light down here. So there's only 1 or 2 teams in Windsor right now that are really doing the social media game, really showcasing all of Windsor. And that's why our team and everyone, we have this building. We're going big. We're putting our money into Windsor because we believe in it. So that's the only thing we want to do is just bring more of the clientele from the GTA, showcase them what exactly Windsor is, and just get them coming here.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how do our listeners get a hold of you or your socials? I mean, I know we're going to put them on the...
Yeah. So all my socials, so TikTok, Instagram, it's just my name, Aftaab Dhillon. It'll be written down, AFTAABDHILLON. And then you can connect with me from there. My numbers are there, everything's there. But Instagram's usually the best bet to get a hold of me.
Okay. Is there anything else we didn't talk about that maybe you want to touch on, especially since you're trying to shine a light on Windsor? I mean, you showed me some beautiful things, amazing beaches, really nice, like sightseeing and lots of really beautiful homes. Yeah.
Lakeshore, what people don't know.
Yeah. Lakeshore. That's really nice community there that I would have never imagined existed in this.
No one ever
from my mind, I've been to Windsor, probably driven by it a bunch of times, but I've never really stopped to take it in, and today was definitely a good highlight. So
it's because whenever people drive to Windsor, it's usually to use the border to cross. And what happens is they drive down the highway, get straight to Ambassador Bridge, they see the university, they see university housing, and they drive on. They miss the houses you saw today. I don't think you thought those existed over here.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. It was like being in California or Miami, those were some incredibly designed houses, really beautiful landscape and everything like that. Also, maybe talk about a little bit of what's coming into Windsor. I know you were mentioning earlier in our drive, so maybe if you can touch on that of why it's a good place to invest. Where are the jobs coming from? What's going to happening in the city that you know of that's coming in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So right off the bat, the biggest one for the city is the new bridge. So that's something that was being discussed for years and years and years, and it just for political reasons, it just wasn't possible. But now situation has changed. They've started building the second bridge. So that's going to drive more business coming in and out of both Detroit and Windsor. The connectivity between the cities is growing stronger and stronger. Then on this side, we have the new Amazon facility coming. We have the battery plant coming. Then we have the company that makes the casings for the battery plant. They're also coming here and starting up their factories. The mega hospital is a huge one. So a lot of nurses and doctors are also coming towards Windsor right now because they want to be a part of this new mega hospital. They want to be a part of the research. They want to just get into that as early as they can. So a lot of things are coming to this city. And as well as on the other side of the border, Detroit's also growing so heavily. So both these cities, they used to be once the richest cities, died down with the motor companies, but now they're being revived once again.
No, it's amazing. Honestly, again, right? I think you definitely blew my mind to Windsor. I'm sure we'll be chatting about our future investments here for sure, because there's lots to offer in the city that definitely didn't know about until you took me for a ride. So, do you have Discord?
Not yet.
Do you know what Discord is?
I know what it is. I've heard about it.
Okay, so basically, it's like a platform where you can communicate, and it's what do you even call it? I don't even know. Forum. Yeah, it's an online forum. We're building out a Discord for our community. It's all the info is going to be below, or you can click the link. And it's basically, we're going to have our team on there. And we're going to be talking about, house investing, multifamily investing. We're now kind of talking to you today, maybe just different cities, and we can kind of connect different people with, on there. So you can just kind of ask any questions and have it answered, and kind of working together as a community and building out something that will help everybody drive, connections with each other that will help us become better investors as a community. Yeah. And I think it's a pretty,
I think that's a great idea, because what everyone forgets is there's so much business in the city, and helping each other grow just helps everyone grow all together.
Yeah. I find it's a huge, we were kind of talking about earlier, but prior to, this technological day and age, there was more of a boys club and more of if you knew the right people, then you would be able to get ahead. But nowadays we can all connect on all levels and, you know, across the country and even, you know, internationally so much easier, and you can learn from each other. And I think it's a strong thing that this younger generation is building. And I, you know, kind of want to be a part of it and help grow, especially for investors. Like, wouldn't it be nice to help somebody else find out that they should stop throwing parties and start investing sooner, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Help build these things. So we're doing that. And then all of my socials are Taco Investments, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So it was nice having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have to be back for your next office opening.
Next opening?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the 1 year reunion of your office open. I'm sure you'll have like
I
an
didn't even
anniversary
think
party.
about that, but now
It's it. You're already open, right? It's like the days are ticking down.
Yeah, days are ticking down.
And maybe we can get your partners on here and we can chat a little more. But
for sure. I think they'd love that.
Great experience. And thanks for showing us Windsor, man.
Oh, no, anytime.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Tacobout Investing. Join the conversation on our Discord server for more tips, advice, and speak directly to the pros, and also get access to our reno management platform. If you have any ideas for the show or any feedback, hit me up on my socials, and let's continue to talk about investing.